Hey guys, Rick Crosland here. Welcome to the session that we're doing today on flight and model aviation. I'm a teacher in Wayne Township Schools. I teach all grades and go to 11 schools, and I love science, and I particularly love making models with students and getting them to fly. And so in this session, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a lot of fun. I got some special people I'd like to introduce. First person I'd like to introduce is my friend Kyle. Kyle, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Kyle Jarris. I'm the Education Director at the Academy of Model Aeronautics. And so it's a great place to be, great place to work, have a lot of fun introducing model aviation and aviation in general to kids and adults who act like kids. It's a great place to be.
I'd also like to introduce another teacher and a friend of mine, Allison Kempers. She loves science. And Allison, tell them a little about yourself and some of our rules.
Yes. Hey everyone, Allison Kempers here. I'm a teacher at Wayne Township Preschool, and like Rick said, I love science, and I'm just happy to be here today. A couple of housekeeping rules for this session. If you can, please type your questions into the chat box. We'll have a short Q&A at the end where our presenters will be able to answer those questions, but make sure you put those in the chat box. Make sure your microphone and your camera are off, and one last thing too, to be able to see the presenters the best way, go up to the top right hand box and click on gallery view, presenter view. And so if you can do that, you'll be able to see our presenters pretty well, and enjoy the session, everyone. Thank you. Thanks,
Allison. Thanks, Kyle. And I see some friends, Kerm, all the way from, is it Iowa, I think that you're at now? Welcome back. So I tell you, reason Kyle's with this is the AMA, the Academy of Model Aeronautics. The Academy of Model Aeronautics is an amazing organization, and it's worldwide. The United States is a big part of it, and the headquarters of it is in Muncie, Indiana. And they have all kind of events and there's a museum and even a model shop from the golden age of modeling that you can go visit. And Kyle can tell you more about that, and it's camps when it's his turn to talk. And I think Allison's going to put these links in our chat to go for it. So I teach a lot of science, and one thing I like about models and aviation, it has to do with motion and how things move. And when we talk about models, when you build a model airplane, you are an aviator, and you're following in the footsteps of people who, from the earliest days, who watched a bird fly. And if you're like me, you wonder, man, I would love to be able to fly like a bird. Famous scientists like Leonardo da Vinci, who studied birds and tried to make models and drawings and design things that fly. He came close, and he realized that like a bird wing, the bones are hollow, and you have to fight gravity. And so another thing that you have to fight is going through the air itself. Air can be your friend and it can be your enemy when you're flying. And a simple experiment I like to do is, here's two pieces of paper, same size, and I wadded this one up so they're different shapes. And so this air around us is made of matter, and all matter takes up space and has mass. And so if I drop these two at the same time, when do you think which one is going to go through the air the easiest? The one with a large surface area or the one with the small? They're both made out of paper. They're both the same mass, and 1, 2, 3. This one cuts through the air so much quicker because it has less drag. So let me see if I can show you a little drawing I made of an airplane, and let's see if I get the right camera. And here we go. Here's my simple drawing of an airplane. If you see this, there are two opposing forces of an airplane, two opposing forces. One, gravity is a force that wants to make things come down. And we need something to go opposite of gravity, and that's called lift. So we have lift, which is opposite of gravity. So a plane needs lift. And now we want the plane to go forward, and so we need thrust. But thrust is also opposed by drag. So anything that you're going to make, I want you to keep in mind that these two opposing forces of lift and gravity, thrust and drag. There's nothing free in the world of science. It has to be equal, or something has to give. Now I'm only going to show you how to make one model, but it is a fantastic model. In fact, it's called the FPG-9. We like to be fancy. That stands for foam plate glider, 9-inch. Now it's a glider. So a glider, we have to give it its own thrust. It doesn't have an engine. It's not rubber band powered. It's not a battery powered or gas powered. It's a glider made to glide after you throw it. And gliders are really important in the development of model airplanes and in real airplanes. And the FPG-9, and I say that both gliders and science is very important. Some of our famous aviators, one of them born right here in Indiana, the Wright brothers, this is my pop-up book I've had forever, spent many, many years working and using science. They made gliders, they made kites, they made wind tunnels, and they tested because one of their friends, one of their contemporaries, actually died in a glider, and they decided, stop, we're not going to do anything. I think his name was Gustavo Otave. Maybe Kyle, you can help me with that. They decided that we're not doing anything that is not with the scientific method that we test first, design first. And they stopped everything and they went about designing an airplane. Now, so when you think of an airplane, it's got to do 5 things. First, it's got to be heavier than air. I could put a balloon on my dog and say, look, he's flying. That's not flying, that's a balloon. Number 2, it had to take off from the ground. I could put an umbrella, climb off from the roof. I don't want to tell you if I actually did that as a kid, and jump off and came down. The umbrella will collapse, and that is not flying. So to be flying, you have to be heavier than air, take off from the ground, and have a pilot in it. And number 4, I think, is to have an engine so it has its own way to get off. And the last one, it has to be controlled. And that was the hardest mystery to find. But with this model, you can control the 3 ways a plane will fly. First, it's called pitch. Pitch up, pitch down. And we use these little things on the back called elevons. So elevons, and Kyle, I think you have that one you're showing right there too.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing to model airplanes or full-scale aviation. It's all on the same principles.
In fact, if you look out the window, if you ever get a chance to fly, you will see some of these very same things on your model. So Kyle will show you, and I'll show you, pitch up, pitch down, pitch up, pitch down. And that word comes from boats, because boats were our big way of transport before aviation. A boat will pitch. The second thing is roll, a roll. And that is another term borrowed from the transportation of ships. Ships will roll. And finally, they added a tail or a rudder, and that keeps the plane from doing this, yaw, yaw. So if you could fly your hand, you can pitch up, you can roll, and yaw. You don't want to yaw when you're landing a plane. And this FPG-9 is made so you can control its flight. Let me show you how easy it is to make one of these. And if you go to the AMA website, you can actually see how to make these in the plans. We have a whole lesson right here that comes with a pattern, and it talks about pitch, roll, and yaw, and some experiments you can do. But it's pretty easy to make the FPG-9. You can start with a paper, but we, and I say we, the Academy of Model Aeronautics, we often provide teachers a already pre-cut, let me get a little zoom in on this, a pre-cut version of this. And basically, I always like putting my, let's see, I'm gonna make this in 2 minutes. So I put my name right here, Rick FPG-9, and I'm gonna cut off the tail like this one. I can just kind of bend off. And so the first thing I do is we need a pilot. And you know, I teach, I'm a pretty big deal if you're 10 and under, so my jokes are appropriate for that. I like to use Abraham Lincoln for 2 reasons. 1, he's cheap, he'll fly for just a penny. And number 2, his head's got some copper in it and some zinc. And so he's got a built-in helmet. Let me put his seatbelt on. So I put 1 piece of tape right here, very quickly. Now when I'm doing this, I want to keep in mind that things should be balanced and even. So I want to put my penny right in the middle. So I got my my cockpit on there, and he's closed up. And now I got to put my tail. Now this is a slit. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger so I can fit in my tail to keep my plane going in the direction I want. Let's see how that is. So I slide that in right here. And let's see, put that in. And you want to be nice and perpendicular. Look at that. That is a beauty, 90 degrees perpendicular. Now, what you also need to do is get 4 small pieces of tape, and these tape to tape this in. And usually I tape one on that side, and I flip it really quickly on the other way, and I put another one right here on this side. If you don't have this pattern, you can get it on the website, or you can just experiment and make one out of a foam plate. Foam works
Or
better.
do both. The fun part is you start with the template, do that one, and then let the kids experiment and try their own out and see if they can get them to fly better or worse.
Yeah, that's exactly true. So it changes from a science project to a design project. Mm-hmm. And I always like to also write E on here for elevon and E here for elevon. And back here is my rudder. So I like to write R right here. And so now by bending these, and believe it or not, there are 3 times 3 times 3. I think that's 27 different ways you can set this up, all straight. These 2 straight with this one bent. This one bent the other way. This one bent down. So there are 27 different ways. Now, when you go to, let me switch cameras real quick here. This flies indoors and outdoors, and it really, really is a lot of fun. And if you go to the AMA, you can see we did a PBS television show, an hour-long show about model aviation featuring the FPG-9 that we actually took out to the NASA Center in California and put it in a water tunnel to test it. So elbow up and a gentle throw. Your first throw, you want to see how it moves, because when you see how it moves, you can make adjustments. So I'm going to try this guy. We'll see where it goes. No, not too bad. If I switch cameras real quick, let me switch cameras. I'll fly a couple more. Then I'm gonna let Kyle take over. I got like just a couple more seconds here. Kyle, let's see. Here we go. Hey, I got that camera right. Let's see if I can fly this guy a little bit further down the path. Here we go.
Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
Now that last one was a good one.
Ooh, nice.
Did you see a little bit of curve to the left?
Yeah,
and so that one curved to the left a little bit, so I would probably adjust the rudder. But your first flight, observe how it flies. And of course, that one curved to the right. So the FPG-9, I love the FPG-9. Kyle, why don't you show us some other things that we can build?
Yeah, of course, not a problem. Well, FPG-9 is a great place to start. But if you don't have a foam plate in the home right now, if you've got a paper bag, you can make a kite. So foam plate gliders are great for flying outside or indoors. Obviously, you need a little bit of wind to fly a kite, or a lot of energy if you're willing to run. So either way, it can work. But this one I knocked out really quickly. All that you need to do this, as I said, is a paper bag. You'll need some scissors. You'll need some tape, and of course, some string. Now, there's a few other things you can do to tweak them, help them to fly a little bit better, but really, it's a lot of fun. And you'll also want some markers. Obviously, I decorated mine with the AMA logo a little bit, used a big Sharpie to do that. But the creativity aspect is some of the most fun that you can have with them. And I'm going to go through really quickly just to kind of show you guys how to build one of these. I won't take too much time, but if you have questions, feel free to throw that up. Onto the chat stream. Happy to answer those. Happy to answer any questions really about model aviation and flight. And also be sure to check out our resources online. There are videos that show how this is built in different ways. We've also done some of that through our AMA Junior Camp. This is one of the projects in our Junior Camp that we live streamed a few months ago. So all that's online. So without further ado, let me switch over to my overhead view. And you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. So, and Rick, if you have questions as I go through this, feel free to jump in. This is one of the things I didn't mention, some crate paper. If you have this, it can help with stability on the flying, but really it's not absolutely necessary. And I'll show you a way to make your own if you don't have any. So I'm gonna set that to the side a little bit. Obviously, here's what I need. Sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Does the crate paper give it more or less drag?
It gives it more drag. Yep, and it also gives it, it changes the way that the center of gravity functions on this. So it helps to keep the back side of the kite in line with the wind or the thrust. So it can help a lot. It's a good question, Rick. So I've got 2 bags here. This one's totally blank. I'm gonna push it off to the side for right now. So this one, I wrote a big two big X's on this piece of paper. Now, the reason I did that, and of course, instructions, online, downloadable, real easy to find, and it gives you exactly where to make these cuts and marks. But we're going to start by getting rid of the stuff we don't need on this paper bag, which is the back where the seam is. We don't want to put a seam right in the middle of our kite, so we're just going to get rid of this panel, which is also going to be the bottom panel that we get rid of. So to do that, you're going to pull out your scissors, and you're going to cut along this crease right here really quickly and knock that out. And of course, if there's any questions, I might be able to answer questions and cut at the same time. So feel free to throw them at me if you have anything that is pertinent to what I am doing. So this is kind of a tricky one. You have to kind of curve around there. Continue that cut. There we are. So that's one side cut out. Go for the next one. Yeah, there could be some confusion with doing these as to, exactly, well, which side is he cutting? How's he doing this? It's a little hard with all the folds in a paper bag to show in a quick way, but here in a second, you will have a good idea. So, there we are. See, normally this paper bag would sit just like so, and then you get your groceries and what have you. But we have taken the back part and cut it down. So these still remain and they're together. Lay that down and we cut the bottom out right here. So we're also going to get rid of this piece. We don't need the bottom. There's a lot of extra weight there, and so we don't need it. I'm going to cut right along this right there. And then we've got our setup for our bag. So there we are, all set up. Now you can pick whichever side you want to be the top. That really does not matter at all. But because this bottom has that little lip there, I just think it looks better this way. So that's the way I'm going to do it. You'll pull out your ruler. That's one thing I didn't mention you needed, some kind of a ruler. That'll help a lot. And instructions say to come down 4 inches from the top. I find, this is just me, I think it flies a little bit better at 5 inches. So I'm going to drop it down to 5. But this is a great opportunity for you to start out using the instructions, but then tinker with it, try different designs, have fun with it. It's a great opportunity to explore the different methods. So we got our mark right here at 5 inches, right? Now we need to come in about 7 inches here at the top, which should fall right in line with this crease. So that helps a lot to understand exactly how far in to go. So it's a little bit off, but this is kind of like hand grenades and horseshoes. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can be really close and still be really effective. So, in the interest of showing you guys at home how this is done, I'm going to put a line right there. Okay. Now we know that 7 inches across should be in line with this, as long as they did a pretty good job at the factory, and they did. We're going to put a mark there. And we're going to put a mark right there, which is very close to where that seam is. Then there's my line right there, right across. So this line is where I'm going to be cutting. Cut and cut. And we're going to get rid of this material, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You want it to be symmetrical. As Rick said, symmetry is important when it comes to aircraft like this. Or proto-aircraft, as it might be more accurate to define a kite. And yeah, the Wright brothers, they did a lot of stuff with kites. They did a lot of stuff with wind tunnels to understand how their aircraft would perform. And it's something that NASA engineers and enthusiasts do even today with wind tunnels. Rick mentioned the FPG-9 in the water bath, showing the water stream going across. That's another way to do it. Really helps with understanding how the flow will go over surfaces and where the turbulence is generated. Or drag is probably a better way to define it right now. All right, guys, see I'm cutting this out? Now, why in the world do I need tape? Well, at this point, we need tape for strength, for durability. Because if we don't put tape in these corners, when we tie a string to it, it will tear out. I mean, this is just made of paper. which is also part of the reason it flies so well. It's lightweight, but it also grabs all this wind and is a lot of fun. So we got those set up. Now I'm going to attach some of this paper to the bottom. That's going to help me create that drag along the bottom edge and keep it oriented in the direction I want. So at this point, you're going to take your scissors and cut out a little hole right here and a little hole right here. That is going to be where you tie a string to this, because every kite needs a string. Now you want to pull out about 6 feet or so of string. You don't have to be super precise with this at this point. So that's about 6 feet. And then we're going to cut that off. You can use your scissors. I just used a little X-Acto blade. I'm going to tie one through here. Really easy knot. If you know how to tie your shoes, use the first part twice. That's all you need. Oops. It is a little tricky. Just slide those through. Rick, have you made one of these before?
You know, it has been many years ago that I made one of those, but on our website, there is a unit on kites and kite flying, and I went to the world's smallest indoor kite.
Okay.
That one is a great one to make now.
Yeah, definitely. I think we still have, 3 of these stuck in the trees around my house. My boys, and maybe I, have gotten them stuck over the course of the summer, and they've not come down yet. So eventually we'll do that. Okay, so we've got this tied in right here. So there we go. I'm holding this kind of in the center, bringing this over so that I can find where the middle is of the string. So once I find this middle, what I'm going to do is just tie a little loop by tying it over itself. That way, I know where the center is to tie the rest of my string to. So once I've got this tied off right there, this guy is just about ready to go. At this point, all you need to do is tie however much string you think you need in terms of your altitude. And of course, you'll need to decorate it a little bit too. But that's pretty much ready to go. Now, if I've got a minute, I'm going to share one real quick tip. If you don't have any crepe paper around, well, remember that piece that we cut off of the bottom of our kite right here. Little trick for you. If you can draw a spiral, there we are. And then if you cut along that line, oh, you'll also need to cut here. You will end up with a streamer that you can put at the bottom of your kite, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Now, I'm not going to do that on stream because it'll take too much time, but I might have already had one ready. So what you got to do, peel that out, peel that off, and then there is your streamer. This will work great. It'll also spin in the wind, which is kind of fun. So lots of different opportunities, options. We've got other quick projects online too that you can do at the home. And they're great fun. So there we have it. Rick, I don't know if I can't hear you, buddy.
I said, great job. Now, you might tell them about the junior AMA camp, and you have all these, I think we put that in the chat about all types of models to build.
Yeah, the AMA Junior Camp was it was our first year doing it. Typically, we run an actual in-person camp at the Academy of Model Aeronautics. And it's usually open to around 30 students that come in from across the country and have a great time for a week. But with COVID happening, we switched that to a virtual experience and had a lot of fun with that. We geared it towards ages 5 to 13. Claire Aldenheisen, one of the members of our education team, did a great job in presenting the material each morning. And then each afternoon, we interviewed different industry leaders and aviation experts just to kind of get different viewpoints and have a lot of fun. And it really was. It was a lot of fun.
Let me show you just a few more things. I'm going to switch cameras here in my, my garage office. And for example, this is a rocket you can build made out of foam and a rubber band. And that's kind of cool. My favorite is a straw rocket. This one, you know, it does have fins to keep it going straight. That's kind of cool. There's boomerangs, things that go through the air and come back, hopefully. And like a dip or do, I don't know if this is going to work. There we go. It's supposed to come back to you. But one of my favorite things, of course, is the FPG-9. So I made this FPG-9, and I just happen to have it on a fishing pole, but you can put it on a stick and a string, and you can have some fun with this flying, as long as there's not too many people around you. And that is one of the types of things at the AMA. They have remote controlled, they have free flight, and they have tethered, which is kind of fun if I let that a little more line out. And this is a lot of fun. Just have some lots of fun with this. With that. And so I think Allison, our moderator, also put in the chat a television show we did with the AMA and the Children's Museum of Indianapolis, and we put that together. It was a NASA grant, and it's called Wings Over Indiana, and I think she put that in the list.
It's a great program. And we've got a lot of teacher resources available too. We've got an Arconic grant that helped us to develop a lot of in-classroom sessions, some of the pylon stuff, some of the powered Gillows gliders. You know, there's a lot of projects online that you can check out.
So if you're a teacher watching, or if you're a student, tell your teacher to contact us, because we have workshops and a lot of material that we want to put in your hands so you too can build a model and be an aviator. Allison, do we have any questions for Kyle?
No questions, just a lot of good comments and feedback about how cool this was, and the neat resources that I went ahead and put links in the chat box to how to make the kite from you, and then also the FPG-9. So yeah, just a lot of, everyone seems pretty excited. So
good deal. Well, you know, have fun flying these kites. These FPG-9s are perfect. Paper airplanes is another great thing. You know, and feel free to email me, you know, education@modelaircraft.org. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have in the future. Rick, you did an excellent job with that FPG-9, man. I think yours were rivaling any of them I make. So great job.
Yeah, I've made thousands of them.
I know you have. I know you have. And they fly great every time, right?
Yeah,
most, okay, 99% of the time. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So I know, guys, you probably have drones. Drones are a big part of AMA, and they've been working really hard to make it so hobbyists like you and I can fly drones. Drones are everywhere these days. I have not tried. Kyle gave me a heads-on first person flying a drone. I have not tried that one yet.
It can make you a little bit unsettled. You know, you think about that pitch and roll again, you know, and on a boat, that'll make you seasick. In a plane, it can do the same thing. And even if you are stationary, but your eyes are telling you an aircraft is doing one thing while your body is stationary, you can still get sick to your stomach. So be careful with that. But yeah, the Academy of Model Aeronautics, you know, we've really been around since 1936, ensuring that individuals can have fun in the skies through model aviation, rocketry, free flight models, control line, all great stuff, great resources. And you know, we're proud to be a part of our national airspace.
Yeah, and it's a not-for-profit organization, so they're not trying to do. The last thing I will say, when I used to live in Egypt and teach in Egypt, we would go to the Egyptian Museum, and there, from one of the tombs, was a model made out of wood of a bird that some young child flew thousands of years ago. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. I know you have choices, and we're really glad that you picked our session, and have some fun with model aviation. Thanks, Kyle.
You bet. See you guys.